We're here with Matt. Hello, everybody. We're back at you with a new week of fresh content. Yeah, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Man, it's been crazy last 2 weeks since we've been on. A lot of stuff to cover. Yeah, the world's really heating up, especially here, and thanks to America with coming off an election with the return of the Donald Duck. Good old Donnie. Actually, you got some fun stuff to cover here. Let's just go from the most recent. Kind of interesting. Like, get your take on it, Matt. Patel got appointed as FBI director.
No
Yeah.
fucking way. Fuck that guy. Yeah, I know. It was a guy. He was just being hyped up all over that QAnon bullshit. And I think that guy is like, there's nothing good. He's just dirty as hell.
Really? Okay, that's funny because I was actually I'm not happy about it, but I'm interested, and I think that's better than and like it's like RFK, for example. It's like I'm not saying it's a good pick, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I know. This is it's getting pretty radical. I mean, that is the fun part though. Like, I was listening to Tim Dillon's podcast yesterday, and yeah, he was like ranting on like Trump needs to like get away, like take away all this like stupid nonsense of like America just becoming this PC, like boring ass PC society, and just bring back the hookers and gambling and yeah, just make
Yeah,
America go off the charts.
but good old Timmy D, he's very parody. So in a more serious note, from what I gathered, looking at Trump's appointments, if you notice, for example, with Pam Bodie which is another fun topic we should get into is Matt Gaetz, but real quick, so when Pam Bodie, who's
Bondi.
I'm sorry?
Bondi.
Yeah, Pam Bondi, that's her name. I'm sorry, Bondi. Whatever. The attorney general that Trump appointed right after Matt Gaetz dropped out, using her as an example, Lindsey Graham and Graham and Jeb Bush were very happy about that appointment. Trump loyalists were not. So it just seems more incongruent with what Trump claims he's trying to do, if we take his word for it. So same thing with Marco Rubio getting appointed as Secretary of State. Trump loyalists were not happy about that. Kash Patel, though, a lot of people are happy about that. Someone that I take pretty seriously, I haven't had ironically, he's Jewish. He's a great comedian, Dave Smith. He is pretty happy about Kash Patel getting appointed. I don't know much about Kash Patel, but the only thing I know about him is I saw a video of him talking about how he wanted to create a department of declassification for all the agencies. So what don't you like about him? What do you know?
It's like he's going to create a department of Shivaism. I mean, I just know there was a lot of hype during QAnon about Kash Patel, this mysterious figure.
When he was
During just all the QAnon posts during the previous administration,
okay.
and I never got to figure him out at all. So this is going to be interesting if anything gets done. Yeah, Department of Declassification would be nice within the FBI to release some documents.
Also, with Tulsi Gabbard in the position that she got put in because she works directly with the intelligence agencies. So I think we can agree, Matt. We're not saying these are good picks, but they're interesting.
Yep, and it's all just going to bring everything out into the light more so than it's ever been.
By interesting, what I mean by that is it's the best we've ever got in comparison to other administrations, because everybody in previous administrations has been establishment people. So with RFK, for example, being in the health secretary?
Yep, Health and Human Services, and Dr. Oz is going to oversee Medicaid and Medicare.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that. Linda McMahon is Secretary of
Education. And then agriculture, you've got Kelly Loeffler, who has absolutely zero experience in agriculture, but she's just about like making food as a business.
Yeah, so back to Kash Patel, though, a lot of establishment people hate it. maybe Trump people are celebrating because he's still got to get approved. So people might be celebrating way too early. Doesn't he still have to get approved, or is it official?
Yeah, yeah, all this has to have to be approved by the Senate.
Right.
You know that. Yeah, they're very just old school and slow and stick by the book.
But anyway, yeah. So these are interesting picks, and that's the best we've gotten. So hopefully that works out in the way we want it to, with declassification of, because this guy talked about declassifying the FC files, Diddy, all of that. So might be smoke and mirrors, but maybe not. Now let's get into some geopolitics here, because shit has been getting crazy. So we do a little breakdown of all of this.
Yeah, it's definitely tense now with the new tensions rising in Syria.
Right. So we'll do a quick explanation here of the Middle East. So I believe it was on Thanksgiving, there was an official ceasefire with Hezbollah and Israel. Hezbollah is the resistance fighters of Lebanon against the Zionist regime that are known to be backed by Iran. And we just mentioned Syria. So we're going to explain the significance and the timing of all of this. So with the supposed ceasefire with Hezbollah and Israel, it was really the West and Israel buying themselves time, because, the Israeli occupation forces are very good at killing people who are unarmed or very weakly armed, and they're good at killing women and children, not soldiers that are actually know how to fight. So Israel hasn't had the best time in southern Lebanon. In fact, they've been getting their asses whooped. So they wanted a ceasefire to give themselves time to recuperate and adjust. And the sellout horrors of Turkey with Erdogan once again betrayed the Russians, who have been helping Assad in Syria since the war started back in, well, that was like 2008, 2012-ish era, the war in Syria.
Yeah, I think it was 2013 when Russia sent in their troops to back Assad and his
Back
forces.
Assad, yep, against ISIS, which is, you could just see how ISIS has never attacked Israel, and they just always end up coming back, or terrorist factions just end up coming back at the time to help Israel, and they end up attacking, what is it, these Sunni sellouts? The Sunni sellouts end up being Zionist supporters, which is just as retarded as a Christian Zionist, because it doesn't even help their cause. At least the Jewish Zionists make sense because they benefit from Zionism. Anyway, let's get back to this. So there's a ceasefire with Hezbollah to give Israel time to recuperate. Then Turkey sells out and working with Israel to train terrorist factions in Turkey to then attack Syria, which is what is happening now. Turkey has recruited terrorist organizations from the Caucasus and other regions to go into Syria. And it's pretty bad, because Syria, because the Russians helped them out, they've been able to hold everything together, but they should have eradicated the enemies when they had the chance, and they pretty much had just been stagnant in their country. And now they have been attacking Aleppo, and the Russians. All right, so we got freeze frames. Real quick. Israel Hezbollah ceasefire temporarily so that Israel has time to recuperate and readjust. Why are they going into Syria? Because Iran gives money and arms to Hezbollah, and the way they get in is through Syria, because they can already get through Iraq, and right next door to the west of them is Syria, and to the west of that is Israel, into Gaza, where Hezbollah or Hamas is also getting their weapons from Iran, and also Hezbollah is getting their weapons from Iran also. That's why the Zionists are trying to get into Syria and take them down. And Turkey, well, they want to benefit from it. And Erdogan's a sellout, just like the Saudis. He'll take a piece of the pie and sell anybody out for any gain. So the Russians have been helping Syria, and the Russians are also dealing with Ukraine. It's not coincidental that the West has been heating things up in Ukraine, not only because the Trump administration is about to come in and they're not as big a supporter of Ukraine as the Biden administration. So they started heating things up by starting to allow attack inside Russia with the help of particularly the West, the U.S. and Britain, and also the French. And that's why Ukraine has been, but not even Ukraine really, because it's U.S. forces in Ukraine shooting these ballistic missiles because Ukraine doesn't have the capability to do that on their own. Same thing with the British personnel that's helping.
Yeah, and now there are more reports coming out saying that foreign fighters are dying in the conflict there because Ukraine is just having such a difficulty mobilizing any new recruits.
Right. And so why is this all connected? So Russia's dealing with Ukraine's stuff amping up, and which is the perfect opportunity for the Zionists in the West to get into Syria because Russia's distracted. Russia's still helping the Syrians, though. Supposedly, yesterday and the day before, the Russians bombed the terrorist groups inside Syria, and Syria is so far hasn't fallen yet. They're having a tough time right now in Aleppo. Damascus, for now, seems decently secure. So, yeah, and this goes back to 2012. So it goes back to the Syrian conflict. And if you're not familiar with the Syrian conflict, essentially, the former forces in Iraq that got U.S. weaponry became terrorist organizations that the West then pivoted in favor of to try to destabilize Syria, like they did in Libya with Gaddafi. But the Russians, unlike with Gaddafi, came in and helped Assad in Syria because Syria and Russia have always had close ties. And Matt, you remember what was that? 2017 when the Turks shot down the Russian jet?
Yes, so that was 2015.
Oh, 2015.
Yeah, that was like right near. Yeah, because I was in Bulgaria at the time. And that really heated things up.
Yeah, so it just shows how Turkey always flip flops. They're a sellout whore. Erdogan will do anything, gain something for himself.
Yeah, he's definitely a weird guy. Yeah, Russia needs to drop a plan to take him out because I'm sure he's not able to really nationalize his country so well. I mean, it's a big country there, but just his plans just don't really fit in with kind of like the more liberal modern Turkey mindset.
I did find something interesting in regards to the Kurds. I heard kind of conflicting reports in regards to how back when the conflict in Syria was hot, so let's go back to, I guess, 2015, 2014, the Kurds who don't have a homeland, and there's a big population of them in Iraq and Syria, there's Kurdish fighters that were being backed by the West, and Turkey's part of NATO, but they don't like the Kurds.
Yeah, it's kind of like similar. Isn't this kind of similar to like the Armenian genocide in a way? I mean, I know the Kurds are backed by the Zionists.
Right, which is all very confusing. You have the Kurds there they're just trying to get something for themselves, which is a homeland, essentially. Then the Turks who are just trying to get a more piece of the pie, aka land, while the Zionists are also trying to do the same thing. And the West is backing, like you have the CIA backing certain groups while the Pentagon is backing other groups. Which is just an entire mindfuck there, you know?
Yeah.
But we're gonna do an entire series on the Middle East, just going backwards, just so everyone can understand. Because as I'm sure everyone's heard before, there's always a reference with biblical prophecy and conflict in the Middle East.
They want to destabilize so much of the sacred holy sites. And that's kind of a reason why Russia's been backing Syria, because there's quite a Christian population there. What are they? Are they Orthodox, or are they like, what's it, the other type of Catholicism? Not Roman Catholicism, but Coptic Catholicism. I know that's in Iraq, but yeah, there's definitely been some very special. I remember there in like 2015, there was like a special ark that Saudi Arabia had shipped to Russia towards St. Petersburg. Like it was a very special art, sacred to the Christians there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I'm not exactly.
especially
Go
with
ahead.
especially like with Libya too, like because America now, like especially just after 9/11, I mean, I just felt like I just saw the Middle East before I was awakened, that it was just all like Islamic and radical Muslims there, and everything was just strict and dirty. But that was just kind of the portrayal that the media wanted us to see. But really, it's just so much more beautiful than that.
Right, and a lot more complex because you got predominantly Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims, which then there's also the Persian population, which is mostly Iran. You have, a lot of Christians in all of that. That's a good example of that. A lot of people forget about the Palestinian Christians. People
Yeah.
just assume that all Palestinians are Muslim, but they're not. There's a lot of Palestinian Christians.
Yeah, there was one I worked with at Cafe Intermezzo last year for a short while. I mean, she was very beautiful, and yeah, she wore a big heavy cross around her neck.
Yeah. So, in regards to biblical prophecies, we also want to explain how these people in power, it's not as simple as blaming a group of them of either they're, you know, Zionist Jews that are pushing a certain agenda, because it's not just the Jews, it's not just the Catholics either, it's not just the Jesuits, but they all do have something in common, which is they all follow a mystery religion. And so, how this ties into the attack on Christianity. So essentially, these people in power believe their own sort of mystery religion. And the reason that they hate Christianity is because Christianity is a bastardized version of what they believe. So Christianity is almost like, a good analogy is Christianity is almost like the rule set to this game of life. And these rules have symbols for the game, but the elite actually know what the symbols mean, and you get told something else. So, like in regards to Illuminati, what the Illuminati means is being the illuminated one, illuminated as in the light is on you, which light is knowledge. So you are illuminated because you have the knowledge of truth, and you're worthy. And the way these people see things is that if if they think that you're not worthy, they think that you're just a peasant, and so you don't deserve to know true knowledge, which is why you don't get to really know what they believe, which is the mystery religion. So essentially, is we're all playing a game. There's these symbols that you get told mean something when they actually mean something else, and you don't really ever know what they really mean,
Such as the cross.
and they're everywhere. Right. So that's what we're gonna start explaining, and why this whole situation in the Middle East, from a geopolitical perspective, actually has a lot more depth in regards to history and occult meaning.
Yes, it goes back thousands of years.
And one organization that has a big foot in it is the Knights Templar.
Indeed. We all thought
Matt, what do you tell the people? What do you know about the Knights Templar?
well, they are definitely much more powerful than what we are taught, and we've been very fascinated with them and popular culture, and just believe that their reign ended in 1307 on Friday the 13th, when they were burned at the stake for worshiping Baphomet. But it doesn't take a whole lot of research to find that they simply went underground, and you find their symbolism all throughout society today.
Yes. And how they've infiltrated other groups, particularly the Freemasons. But we have to go back to the origin. When did the Knights Templar start?
It was around, in 1811, 19 on Temple Mount in Jerusalem.
And they started, I believe they were the army from the Pope, right?
They were part of the Crusades. Yes, 9 knights that were trying to guard the Temple of Solomon.
Right. When the Christians were doing the pilgrimage to the Holy Land, these knights were there to protect the Christians when they went down there. and their symbol is the red cross. Red cross, right? Because they were you said they were burning out the stake in 1307, right? That's when they were getting kicked out of France.
Correct. Because
They founded.
Yeah, they built up so many different chapters in France and in Europe.
Right, and then when they were getting kicked out of France, if you remember that red cross, what country right next to France has that red cross? Who founded that country? That little small country that just always ends up happen to be neutral in every major war, even though they're like right in the middle of it. Oh yeah, that would be Switzerland, the land of bank. Look at their flag. Follow the symbols.
Yeah.
Ryan,
Yeah, what's up?
can we pull up that flag? What's the Swiss flag?
Let's see. Yes. Definitely
Also,
got
the land
this.
of the watch, huh? Yeah, look at that. Look at that red. Look at the red flag with the cross.
The red
How about the
field.
Knights Templar symbol? I mean, come on.
Yeah, we see that with the Nazi symbolism. They've been using that in the black form.
Oh, isn't there that guy that Trump appointed recently who's got that tattoo with
The
the
Secretary of Defense, the Azov Brigade, I believe they hold that as well.
Azov Brigade? Tell the people who that is.
Yeah, that's what we reported last time during the Ukrainian podcast. The radical militia group formed off in eastern Ukraine that was there that sparked up the revolution.
And they're neo-Nazis.
Absolutely, and I showed in the last episode how in gematria, all these 4 different ciphers, that Azov Brigade equals Adolf Hitler. There's no sort of conspiracy there, right?
Right, but hey, unless you get to Canada, and then Parliament will applaud you for, being the resistance against the Russians who are evil. Oh, wait, the Canadians just fucking applauded a neo-Nazi, Kind of like, U.S. Congress when Netanyahu shows up and they all, applaud him for like an hour straight while he's committing genocide. Probably at minimum 300,000 Palestinian civilians dead.
Yeah, I know that I saw the
Yeah.
latest article just simply stated 44,000. Of course, that
Which
has
is-
to do with Israel, Zion, kill.
Also, the fact just to show back to what's going on in Syria, just to show how the Israelis are directly involved, in case anybody has doubts about that. If you remember back in September when Israel committed the insane, barbaric pager attack on supposed militants of Hezbollah, even though it killed a bunch of random civilians, they caused a bunch of pagers and walkie-talkies to explode. Well, the same thing happened 2 days ago in Syria.
No way.
Yeah, total. We can look that up. Let's see here. Pager attack, Syria. That happened. I know. We'll post a link down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Nowadays, you can't even use Google anymore. For certain.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, we definitely gotta post that link. Right. So, yeah, a lot of geopolitical stuff going on. I wonder,
And then,
especially with go ahead.
even in Georgia, I mean, they're really pushing for a new color revolution there
Yeah, they're trying to distract the Russians right now.
in that former Soviet satellite state.
Right. So going to the Knights Templar map, we could pull up the Cult of Baal map really quick, showing these secret societies and how they infiltrate other secret societies, but they're all following the same ideological cult knowledge. Right, can you pull up the Cult of Baal map?
Yeah. Let's see. You mean it's Baal, actually.
Baal.
Let's see.
Well, I also wanted to mention this. This blew my mind. Okay, so in regards to communism and Marxism, there's this whole theory about how the majority of the communist movement was actually Jewish, and Karl Marx is ethnically Jewish, and I think his last name was Levy. But it wasn't to me. To me, it wasn't completely clear that Marx had an evil Jewish agenda. It wasn't completely blatant. It could the benefit of doubt in regards to him just being a philosopher who created this economic system from a philosophical standpoint because of what he believed, because of oppression from the past and hierarchical classes, and how he wanted to benefit the worker. It wasn't entirely obvious that he had a darker agenda. Funny enough, and I've been looking at Marx for I would say at least 20 years. Funny enough, Jake Shields had David Duke on, and there's this video of David Duke talking about. And if you guys don't know who David Duke is, I believe he used to be one of the president of the KKK, the known white supremacist.
Yep.
But he brought this to light, which I find really interesting about Karl Marx. And let's see if I can find the video really quick. If not, I'll just be very specific about what he's referencing.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear.
Here we go. All right, here we go. I got the video. I'm gonna send it right now. Yeah, for like 2 minutes, so it's perfect. Very interesting. All right,
so
post it on the chat.
There you go. Perfect. Here we go.
Name before the family changed the name.
Let's see.
What's your take like on Karl Marx?
Karl Halevi, his original Jewish name before the family changed the name to German name to Marx. Karl Marx wrote a whole play called Mephistopheles, which is basically a paean to the devil. I mean, his father would call him my goblin, and my demon and stuff like that. And Karl Marx's friends, they all talk about this, right? That he believed in destroying all of society.
Jesus.
And it just is really amazing when you think about it. I mean, the founder of communism. And then you kind of think, no wonder maybe communism ended up killing 100 million people.
Yeah,
and that's according to our Marxist.
The guy's the devil worshiper that started it.
All right. Yeah, and that's what's really scary about a lot of these things is that and this is not a joke. It's real.
All right, real quick.
What's your take
Google
like on
Karl Marx Mephistopheles. That blew my mind.
Is that a T?
Because
Mephistopheles?
Mephistopheles is how do you?
That's a
A
brand.
mythological character. Apparently, it's also in the Bible. He's like a devil or a demon, but he's not the devil. But it's like a fallen angel.
Where does it begin, with an M or an N?
Like Memphis, almost.
Yeah, the
Well,
But it's Memphis.
I will
Method
say,
Man.
it's an interesting. If you look this up right here, what is it? It represents the arches. Usually, is represented with the right there, the double arches.
Oh yeah.
Mephistopheles, yeah, he's represented by these 2 points representing arches or horns. It got related to the idea of the pentagram, which the pentagram has nothing to do with any of this, really. Pentagram is actually a protection symbol. It also represents the 4 elements and the 5th element of nature, which is the conscious mind and soul of humanity. But yes,
Real quick, this is crazy. 2 days ago, when I saw this video, I typed in Karl Marx and Mephistopheles, and it came. It quoted something else that now I can't find on Google, but it was pretty much talking about how Karl Marx was like a big fan of this play and had a specific quote, and it was talking about how all aspects of society should be stripped down. But now you can't find it, which is interesting because that was like 2 days ago.
So what am I looking up about Karl Marx?
It's not coming up now, but if you type, it was before. If you typed in Karl Marx and Mephistopheles, it would pull up what I was talking about. Funny how it's not showing up now.
They just did a 1984 on us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's methods. What's the second part? How do you stop?
Okay, look, it's M as in Matt.
Method.
Mephis. EPHIS.
Okay.
Yeah, MEPHIS.
Yeah, never heard this in school.
It's funny, actually. If you look up, it's making me think about this one scene in a movie.
Oh, okay. I found what I was talking about. Mephistopheles and Marx. And then it goes,
look here. Watch this. I'm going to show it to you because they make mention of this character multiple times in this movie, Mephistopheles. So let me share this with us real quick, and we watch this real quick. It says Johnny Depp in it.
Mephistopheles.
What the fuck?
One of the things in this is a remake. It's called Dark Shadows, and in one of the cases he became like a vampire, right? And it's in association to Mephistopheles, or Mephistopheles is like the one that controls the soul as it becomes what's known as a ghoul. Like a vampire is considered a ghoul, and Mephistopheles is the sovereign over the will of things like vampires and so forth. And then it's funny because he's reading it in like ancient texts at the beginning, and then he gets like buried for 1,000 years, and he comes back and he sees the golden arches, which represent Mephistopheles, but in this case, in this context now, it's actually McDonald's representing the evilness. Really, it's like the evilness incorporation, really.
Yeah, and really, yeah, those golden arches represent the Royal Ark of Freemasonry.
Actually, there you go. They say it right out in the open, and
right.
Immediately,
this goes back to symbolism. This goes back to symbolism. You don't know. It's like you're only hip to what you're hip to. So you're walking around in this game of life, and there's these symbols everywhere that you get told mean something else, when in reality they mean something different. So what the mind fuck of all of this is that what these elites believe, like these elites end up essentially being the cult of Baal, the cult of Baal, and Baal, which is a satanic deity, right? So it doesn't matter if that actually exists, because these people who are in power believe it exists, and that makes it real, even if it's not.
So interesting
Manipulating.
enough, in the work that I'm doing now, I'm studying Celtic Druidry, and a huge part of it, actually, a massive part of it, actually goes into. Let's see if I can pull this up. It goes into the representation of symbols and so forth in spirituality or in nature. I mean, this is one right here. Actually, it's the cross and the circle, right? And in this position right here, it's almost like the inverted feminine in a way. And this here representing like the circular element being like the human will or spirit, and then the cross being the four elements, and it's the spirit wielding the four elements and manipulating them and using them. And then it also goes into it has its own tree of life, right? And this we'll talk. This I don't think this is the Golden Dawn one, actually, or this is the Hermetic Golden Dawn version. But in the Celtic Golden Dawn, it talks about the realms that existed in Celtic culture, similar, lining up with that of the tree of life. But then there was this one piece that I was going to show super quick. This is actually the book one of the books that I've been reading that speaks about it. This has to do with like the deep esoteric, like celestial and metaphysical aspects of Druidry, but I really can't find it. Where did it go? But anyways, it talks about a whole bunch of other stuff and regarding, oh, here we go. So what you can see right here is that there's a comprehension of geometry within things. So this is something I was talking about in a recent podcast that I was doing, or one of the last episodes of the podcast I'm doing, and we were talking about symbolism in ancient culture, those being like the Vulcanut, the Triskelion, and the Triquetra of the, they're basically like they're three-pointed symbols that can represent quite a lot in different cultures, but they also reflect this thing that's called the Pisca something. It's basically where you sever you can sever like a donut shape, right? Like a tube or a circular pattern, or even the pattern that they say that actually creates quantum entanglement. And you can sever that at an angle, and it creates symbols like you see over here with like the little slices, but they actually create the womb. Like even with our geometry, we're able to look at the quantum entanglement field, and then we can sever it in a way that allows us to cross-section it, and then we can see that like all life is like this cascading fractal coming down from basic, how would I describe it? Basic mathematics in a way. Essentially, we'll call it mathematics. That's our understanding of it, right? Is through a mathematical lens. And then when you get into things like gematria and stuff like that, that's where you can start seeing like, oh, okay, well, this is just like a layman version of understanding complex and quantum mathematics. That's what I've been coming to find out.
Like almost how it explains like everything in the universe is just run by like some sort of algorithm, like a natural algorithm, but then there's like a man-made one underneath that.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
It's the Vesica Piscis, and it's the symbol of the symbol of the divine feminine, and you see it in elements of the tree of life, and it's this cross section that occurs here in spaces like this right here, and you can see that it just represents
61 petals in the flower of life.
Yeah, and so this is a symbol I really urge everyone to inspect, because the dimension of it right there can be found in a lot of different things, especially when you're trying to create or
wait, that's a sign of the feminine?
It is like it's like so there's a lot of like theory that goes down into
that other one. The image you just had on totally looked like a pussy.
That's why the football is created like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why football's for pussies. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway,
well, see, that's the thing. My buddy also brought that up too. Is like it's the shape of a football, and it's actually, so the crazy thing about it is that it is like, this is like basically the symbol that helps you understand like other realm access. And we got into the whole concept of how, the sun is sort of the key to accessing other realms or other dimensions. Like that's one of the theories I have. But the Vesica Pisces, or Pisca, or whatever you want to call it, you can look in, where was it? What were we? Well, I mean, anyways, also you can see it like in the, you can see this right here. You have the Chanel symbol right there, representing that. But
in the middle?
Yeah, but then also, so this is the interesting idea. A device that can...
That makes so much sense, considering, well, the Pisces in astrology is the fish that resembles the Vesica Pisces. And then what's the significance between like Jesus and the fish?
Yeah, that's the
Christian symbolism.
Sign is the two fishes, because Jesus was actually a Pisces, which that's why like Christmas is so dumb in my opinion in regards to pretending that Christ's birthday was on December 25th, because it wasn't. It was in March. He was born in March.
The miraculous
Well, yeah,
catch
it's
of
also
153 fish.
well,
Wait, what?
also just yeah. Go ahead.
What about the 153 fish?
The miraculous catch in the Bible of 153 fish.
I couldn't
from
find
Luke.
it, but what I was trying to find was this device that was being developed, which I guess, yeah, of course you can't find it now, but it was shaped like a football, and it actually had the ability to, the way it was able to move and the way it was able to propel itself would actually bend light in front of it, allowing it to travel through light, which the idea that light has like a speed is apparently like quite false. It's been proven that it actually is essentially like an instantaneous thing. That there isn't actually a speed of light, there's just a speed of perception. And that goes into more of the quantum entanglement theories. But this device that was being developed was able to bend light in front and behind it. And it does create that symbol of Vesca Pisces. And when you look at, see if I can pull something up, when you look at how the evolution of the spaceship has developed over time, I think this is an interesting, because it goes back to that idea of of powers that be kind of showing you things in front of you without really telling you. But if you look at the UFO, right? You look at the shape of the UFO and what that shape that it's always taken, right? Like always looking like this. This is like the idea of it. If you just turn it sideways, it looks like the cross section of the Vesca Pisces, which means, and this has always been a representation in our culture of like light speed travel, being able to go beyond universes, go beyond dimensions, and do otherworldly things, right? I mean, you literally take this UFO, you turn it up on its end, and then you got the centerpiece of the Vesca Pisces. And then not to mention that when you look at, what is it, like the UFO Tic Tac sightings, right? Like when they find like these, like they find like orbs or like these shapes, right? Like the shape of the UFO has been changing now, where it becomes like a tic tac type, sort of like, not really these ones right here, but they become like a Vesca Pisces. They become more similar to the Vesca Pisces.
Yeah, it's weird how they're just now like evolving the whole UFO phenomenon. Like they're just slowly dripping it out.
Yeah, it's coming. Project Bluebeam. You never know. That's why I don't really get into the whole alien stuff. Too speculative for me. I'll leave that one to you, Matt.
I mean, it is interesting. There's a lot of like just gematria that's associated with aliens, and the whole 47 connection with Roswell happening in 1947 in the 47th state, New Mexico, when and then there's also like the very first modern UFO sighting was in Washington on the 47th parallel.
Yeah. Before I forget, I wanted to go back to something in regards to Karl Marx, what I was talking about. If you type in Mephistopheles, then Marx, it comes up what I was talking about, which is, I'll read it. Marx had a favorite line from Mephistopheles, the devil character in Gothe's Faust. Quote, "Everything that exists deserves to perish," end quote. What Marx wanted was not a mere economic revolution. He wanted a revolution against human nature, to annihilate the entire order, to burn down the houses, to undermine all religion. Actually, which is, it's very, here we go. To undermine all religion, all morality. There we go. All morality right there. He called for the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. What Marx advocated had a destruction dimension, a spiritual dimension, even a diabolical dimension. So, which is very fitting if you study communism, like particularly in the Soviet Union and the Gulag, and how they pretty much wanted to take over all aspects of society. And the fact that in regards to, like, I've never been a big fan of organized religion. I almost come to the conclusion that organized religion is for dumb people who can't, think on their own. And so they need need something to provide a moral compass. But I'll be honest, from a philosophical standpoint, I haven't really figured out yet if you actually get the majority of your morality from a religious standpoint. That's not the point. My point of what I'm trying to say is, though, if you look at like the Soviet Union and communist China, they got rid of religion, but they also got rid of morality. And that is a very devious, negative agenda right there. And it goes back to what I was saying about Marx and how it wasn't entirely obvious to me that Karl Marx was pretty much part of the synagogue of Satan, which is like the fake Jews that actually have this dark agenda, like just like the fake Christians that are Catholics have a dark agenda.
Yeah, that was warned about in the Book of Revelation.
Right. And I just think it's pretty interesting that I end up finding the blatant, obvious connection from anybody, David Duke, which is wild, you know?
Yeah, these people with such radical viewpoints, they do have like a good they've really been focused on.
Well, I
Other
haven't really,
side of
gone down
evil.
a rabbit hole checking out David Duke, so we could just get told that he's got radical viewpoints, but I wonder how radical they really are, you know? Obviously, I'm not a white supremacist because, well, it doesn't really benefit me.
The interesting part of the KKK, they were heavily invested into marijuana. I remember like Jeff Sessions joked about the reason why he went after the KKK was because of the marijuana trading that they were invested in. Not so much
really?
about it wasn't anything about the racism.
On a separate note, with Trump's administration picks, motherfucker's a liar. Donnie, we were praising Donnie with appointing Kash. Well, I was praising him a little bit with Kash Patel. As much praise as I can give, as much praise as I can give is me saying, oh, it's an interesting pick because that's the best we've ever gotten. But one to shit on him is, guess who is the ambassador for France now? Jared Kushner's dad.
Wasn't his the Kushner family? They were like they definitely had some part into like the construction of the World Trade Center.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Trump pardoned his dad.
Well, yeah, and they owned the 666 Fifth Avenue building.
Yeah, because Jared Kushner's dad was like I think he was like a real estate tycoon in New York. I think commercial real estate, if I'm correct. And he did some shady stuff, and Trump pardoned him, and then Jared, his son, ended up marrying Trump's daughter, Ivanka. And they're also, who would have thought, Jews. Before I forget, I don't think we have time for it, guys. Yeah, we got to do a quick episode later, a quick breakdown on Matt Gaetz. Anybody who hasn't, before we get our breakdown, see what you can find, viewers. Go check that out. The Matt Gaetz rabbit hole is wild. I highly recommend Jimmy Dore's video on Matt Gaetz. A lot of crazy.
He got like, it's crazy. He got nominated, and then it was just like, I mean, I thought it was like about the PDF file stuff.
Have you seen Jimmy Dore's video on Matt Gaetz yet?
No, I haven't.
Dude, you gotta watch it. It's fucking wild. It's like 30 minutes.
Let me pull up a little. Jimmy Dore, and let's see. Let's get the Matt Gaetz. All right, so we got Jimmy Dore, Matt Gaetz, sex allegations, honeypot operation. Is that the one?
Yeah, it's like 34 minutes. It's fucking wild. I highly recommend everybody check that out. Pretty much, I'll like a real quick breakdown of it. If anybody remembers 2 years ago, Tucker Carlson, when he was still on Fox News, brought in Matt Gaetz, and I vaguely remember this. And Matt Gaetz goes on this rant, pretty much seemed like he was fucking crazy. And as conspiratorial as everybody could tell that we are, for us to be like, well, bro, someone like me be like, this sounds fucking crazy. He fucking gets on, like, at the beginning of Tucker's show, gets on, and he just goes on this rant, and is like, oh, my dad's getting extorted for $25 million, and there's blah, blah, blah happening, and he called out the guy directly with name and everything, some guy who's working in the FBI, who's trying to extort him, and it's just funny, because if you look into it, every single time, yeah, you know what I'm referencing people on Twitter, every single time, you'll see the first prominent person who pops up, what's their last name? It's just, I just report the facts. I don't decide what ethnicity or what religion they follow.
Extremely annoyed and unconvinced by the end. And yet 3.5 years later, I know now that everything Matt Gaetz said was true. Bob Levinson was the man in Iran. This guy, Bob Levinson.
Well, okay. So you're like right in the middle of the video. But
yeah.
Real quick before we sign off, You brought in some interesting points in regards to symbolism and the Pisces sign, but you sent this really good video on Instagram of Jordan Maxwell talking, and he was explaining the 12 apostles and how they're in reference to the 12 astrology signs.
Yeah.
You should pull that video up, because that kind of is a great analogy of what I was talking about how you get told. So there's certain symbolism. I guess we'll use Christianity because this is what he's talking about. There's symbolism in Christianity, but really it means something else, but you just don't know about it. Funny, most Christians don't even know Christianity. They don't even realize it's sun worship. It's sun worship.
It's all sun worship, dude. Everything is sun worship. It's like that is energy. That's the thing. It is the essential.
Except Judaism isn't sun worship. Judaism is Saturn worship.
Yeah, which takes it goes back in time, because the original Sabbath day was the Saturn day, and now it's the Sunday.
Right.
Well, the thing is that it's like the sun is sort of the path for all this cosmic energy.
Yes, right
Is
now,
essentially
yeah.
what it is. And then this is something I've been reading about in my Druidic studies, that there's these two currents of energy that flow through the earth and through things on the earth, right? The natural elements of the earth. So there's telluric energy, which is like, the lower realm energy, and then there's the solar energy, and it's responsible for. It says that the link might be broken. I don't know if I can pull this out. Let's see. Maybe they got rid of it.
Let's see if we can find it.
Wait, hold on, I got it. No, it says that the link's broken. It says that it can't get opened. Oh well. Everyone needs to return to a nature-based spirituality and perhaps leave behind the religious aspect, because religion usually requires some cult-like subservience from individuals that praise a deity, rather than understanding that the deities delight in us, and we have a very significant role to play in nature, as we are a part of it. It's not like a matter if we're in nature or out of nature. The fact is, we are nature. We're like this amazing manifestation of nature, which also includes the cosmos. And it's like we've been created because we have a very specific purpose to play in the continuation or the future of nature, which is like the one life, the essential life of, like, it is a part of everything. And unfortunately, many people are using it, using that cosmic and solar transfer of energy to influence things here within the earth.
Yeah, and that's my whole criticism. That's why I don't like organized religion, because it's groupthink, and you end up being a representation of someone else's ideals in a way. And I'm gonna read a real quick speech from Dr. John Henrik Clarke, and one of my favorite rappers, Immortal Technique, referenced it in this outro to one of his songs. It's called Conquerors, and it pretty much explains religion from a colonialist standpoint, but I think it does a very accurate job of portraying what I'm talking about in regards to symbolism and my criticism of organized religion. So here it goes. Nearly all religions were brought to people and imposed on people by conquerors, and used as the framework to control their mind. My main point here is that if you are a child of God, and God is a part of you, then in your imagination, God is supposed to look like you. And when you accept a picture of the deity assigned to you by another people, you become the spiritual prisoner of that other people. And what I think of is how the Catholic Church whitewashed the image of Jesus, and then the Spaniards and whatever, all the other colonialist countries push Catholicism and this religion and image on people, on indigenous cultures, and they're all white. And the funny thing is that Jesus wasn't white at all.
I actually have a poem. I have a poem that I could say that was written by Charles Bukowski. It's called the Laughing Heart, and he goes, "Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. Be on the watch. There are ways out. There is a light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. Be on the watch. The gods will offer you chances. Know them. Take them. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life sometimes. And the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. The gods wait to delight in you. And that's The Laughing Heart by Charles Bukowski. I think it's an important one for people these days.
Yeah, I think that
Because
kind
it's
of
like
goes.
we have this immense lack of like interconnectedness with ourselves. You know, we're so external and we don't even know what our life is or what it's for. And it's so easy to be clubbed into dank submission, right? Which is basically giving in to the influences.
Right. I agree. Matt?
Yeah, that kind of goes in with that quote you had, Caesar, from Esoteric Agenda about lighting a candle in a room full of darkness.
Yeah, I love that one. You know, light representing all righteousness and good and positivity, love, and darkness representing fear and because all dark emotion all stems from fear. And it's like you can be in a room completely dark, but if you walk in with a candle, the darkness flees. You can't do the opposite. You can't walk into a room full of light and righteousness and truth and love, and you can't make it dark. So we'll leave off on that, everybody. Don't lose hope. Knowledge is the beginning to understand all of this. Question it all. Don't even take our word for it. Go find out yourself. As long as we can at least provide the curiosity or provoke you to consider that maybe what you're seeing or what you're reading or believing isn't necessarily the case, and there might be more to it.
Yeah, definitely. Find some love and inner peace and joy.
Yeah, I mean,
Reach
take
for
it
the
easy on
skies.
yourself.
But yeah, until next week, maybe next couple of days, we'll be seeing everybody. Let us know what you think down below in the comments. We'll post some links here to some more information. We'll be back soon. A lot of geopolitical stuff to cover. More Trump drama. Let's see if this Matt Gaetz investigation goes somewhere. We'll definitely do a little short clip on that and try to sum up everything for everybody. But anyway, everybody have a good day, good week. We'll be back soon.
All right, that's a wrap, fellas.
Word.